All right, people, if you know you have an ego problem, just take a step forward. Don't worry. We will not judge you. The thing is, people with ego problems tend to value only their own opinions. They feel a need to let others hear what they have to say, even if they are wrong. Being opinionated, self-absorbed are essential characteristics of a person that does not think much about dissenting opinions. It's either their way or nothing, and I don't even know what to say, man. So on the show today, we're going to be highlighting 5 signs you may have an ego problem. This is Daily Top 5.
3, 2, 1, catch me.
So the first thing to factor if you have an ego problem is that you are not teachable. You're very close-minded, you don't listen to learn, you always listen to argue, and that's because your ego makes you feel like you know too much even when you don't. And this is very, very correct. We should all be open to learning, but the moment you stop learning or you feel like you can't learn anything from anybody, then you have an ego problem. Because till date, I learn from everyone, even kids. There are some things I've learned from my 8-year-old niece, and I'm like, oh, right. And I don't look at the fact that, oh, she's a child. I'm like, some people will be like, oh, you're a child, what do you know? Do you know how long I've... It's not about how long. You learn every day. No man is an island.
True. I mean, I can't even add to that. You said it all. Like, you have to, and it has to do with a bit of humility as well.
Humility.
Yeah, you have to be able to reduce your shoulders, put your face down, and know that sometimes you're going to have to say, oh, I'm sorry, my bad, I did wrong. It's also because you also don't know how to apologize, you don't know how to take responsibility and not accountable. So all those things happen. But at the end of the day, one of the ways to know is that someone's trying to tell you something and like, that's not the way I usually do it. You always have your own ways, you always have your own thought process, and you think that is the right one.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned humility, because my mom said something, like one of the earliest things I ever remember my mom saying is, see, she said, I learned things even from the cleaner in my office. Like, so that's the thing. Don't always say, oh, because I'm the boss, I'm the yoga. You can learn something from the cook in your house. You can learn, you know, like sometimes, like we used to have a cook that was very good. I'll go and sit down with him in the kitchen. I'll not say him because me, I'll sit down there and say, okay, what are you putting? What's this one and what's that one? So,
what are you putting?
Well, they try and reduce shoulder. That's the moral of this story. All right, another sign that you might have an ego problem is if you are controlling. Yep, if you have a desperate need to control people and manipulate your way through everything, you most likely have an ego problem. I mean, anytime you're not in control, you feel powerless. This one, a lot of people are guilty. So it's nice to be in control of your life, like knowing what you want and what you don't want. That's completely fine. But then when it becomes a physical fight with people, like, no, you say,
this I must do it.
It's not even just physical fight. It could also be... It could also be people trying to correct you or trying to tell you things and ways to better yourself, and you're like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm in control. I know. I stand myself. I do this. I do that. No.
You're not going to do it.
Yes. You need to learn from people, which still takes us back to
the way I see people who are controlling. I think that a lot of them have self-esteem problems, insecurity problems, and all of that. Because at the end of the day, you want to make other people feel like you are better than them. So you're trying to mask that problem you have with yourself by trying to manipulate other people, because for you to be controlling, you have to be manipulative. And you said something about being physical. I think the worst one is when people are emotionally manipulative.
Very true.
And now in recent times, I learned that sometimes people use power to be controlling, use money to be controlling. I'm going to pay you. I have powers, I can sack you. So I'm going to make you do this thing because I have the power over you. But the recent one I've even learned is some people even use kindness.
I was going to go there, girl.
Or charm. And these are people that are actually called narcissists. They mask it with, oh, because I care about you. That's why I think you should do it this way. So at the end of the day, if you're controlling, it's like the question you need to ask yourself is, why are you so bothered about what's happening in that person's life and what the person is doing? In fact, the easy way to know is going through your Instagram, you have an opinion. Oh, that one should have won and nothing better. You have an opinion over every single thing.
You have a problem. It's not opinion, it's problem. You have a problem.
All right, on to the next one. You know, when you expect life to treat you fairly. Anytime you go through painful situations, you're fond of saying things like, why me? And that's because your ego gives you this sense of entitlement, like you are above pain. This stressing.
I mean, life is here to teach you lessons, right? So it's not a case to say, oh, yes, it's me. Why is it happening to me? No, like, go through it, learn the lesson, and keep it moving. So when you start, and that's why, like, even when I started my gratitude, I said we're not better than anybody. It's just that God is just saving our life in this country. So, I mean, let's just keep.
At the end of the day, you're not the only one going through problems. So when you just want to come somewhere and it's like, oh, do you know what's happening to me? This one is happening to me. I have to pay this. I have to do that. Something's happening to my family. Everybody gets family issues. Trust me. Everybody has money issue. Everybody has romance issue. Everybody's going shopping, breakfast issues. So stop it.
And then another thing people need to understand is that the easiest way to learn is by your own mistakes. You learn from your mistakes and you get better, trust me. All right, people, so we will go on a commercial break, and when we do get back, you get the remaining 2 of the top 5.
Welcome back to the show, guys. It is still Daily Top 5, and of course, if you are just joining us, we are talking about 5 signs that you might have an ego problem. All right, so number 4 on our list is if you take stuff personally. If you are oversensitive and you feel easily insulted, this is a sign that you might have an ego problem. I mean, people have to walk on eggshells around you because you take everything personally.
This one is very stressful.
Yeah, I had a friend like this. Wow. They'll tell me things like, I can't have a friend that's like you. They condition me in my own life. Or I remove myself. So you don't have to have a friend that does this or does that. Do you understand? So it's always let me not, or like, let me, so that she will not get angry, so that...
I have a good example for you. It was actually with a guy, and he said something very silly, and I like, I do not take insults lightly. I am not conditioned to accept the meaning statements to my character. We are not friends, so and it's telling you all this. Like that, it's not that deep. I know that, some people are like, oh, they don't want insultive words, and it's valid.
So there's the way you even pass across that message. You can even say, you even first laugh like, they don't used to call me Odeo.
This one, it went to Oxford type of English. Okay.
Because of what?
It still boils down to what I'm saying about people ego problems. A lot of times it's insecurities. Because maybe you have first insults, and now you're like, never. I will not hear any form of insult. So maybe somebody's like, Dala, your hair is shiny. What do you mean by that?
The one that will tell you, scotch head with eyelashes.
Yes, now, because
she's confident.
I know who I am. It's not enough to tell me, but human being.
And then it's so annoying, especially those girls that every time you're hanging out, they say, this is coming. People be careful. You know she has.
So I realized that even that my friend, this thing that you just said, I realized that even that my friend, it's so bad that when I'm introducing her to another person, I would have already told the person, see that the girl has just
and that's already a bad image.
I have to extract myself.
That's very bad. Very terrible. All right, the last and final one is that you can't stand criticism. You see criticism as a direct attack on you even when it's coming from a good place. You love to be surrounded by yes men who tell you things you want to hear, and as a result, your growth is stunted. This is very true. There are many people that because of how they feel, because you have to walk on eggshells around them, and they are the happening babes or happening guys, and people want to be around them, they end up having so many yes men that at the end of the day, they don't even get good and proper criticism. So they keep doing the same wrong things over and over again. And then these same people that are supposed to give them good advice will talk about it behind them. But once they come, no, then when someone comes with good advice, I beg, what's happen? You know, be our friend. They're even the ones that will fight against it. And this is very sad. So if you are the kind of person that doesn't take to criticisms, I think right now you should learn to not take all criticisms, but learn to sift the good and the bad ones.
Yeah. Okay, that's how we can take on Daily Top 5. I mean, if you have been able to identify with any of this, you might have an ego problem, but it's okay. A lot of us actually are dealing with 1 out of the 5. So the key thing is to work on it, to accept and do better. All right, that's how we can take on Daily Top 5. Truth Syndrome Monday is up next.